Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to do a quick video here. Yes, Mikey is at work, busy, but I wanted to share something here. Our friend Atlantis, thank you so much, sweetie. I mean, I don't know how long this took, to put together, but my goodness. He has done a book, and I told him, you should make this into a book and sell it, because it would be so helpful for the XJW community, talking to their friends and families who are Jehovah's Witnesses. Anybody who wants to talk to Jehovah's Witnesses, even those of other religions. But he wants me to share this with everybody, and so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to, our website, I can only put a file that's, I think, 25 megabytes, so I can't actually put the link on our website, but I'm going to put the link down below to this book. And he's got it organized into different subjects, and I just wanted to share just a few things. Now, this is going to be very helpful. I'm not going to, discredit Raymond Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience. This is available at Amazon.com, because this is very good to see the inner workings of Watchtower. But I think this one is good also in seeing what was truth back through, Watchtower's history. I think it's important we know Watchtower's history, see what, they believed back then. And I don't care what anybody says, especially Jehovah's Witnesses. This is not the light getting brighter. This is confusion, no matter how you look at it. My goodness. All right. Now we know that in 1925, they believed the end was coming then. And all the old, faithful ones, Abraham, Isaac, Noah, all of those were going to come back, and they were going to live at Beth Sarim in San Diego. But we know what happened with that prophecy. Now, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I didn't even know about this book right here, Jehovah's Witnesses and the Divine Purpose. It was kind of a Proclaimer's book precursor, but it was published in 1959. And we all know about the 1925 prophecy, that's when the end was going to come. But this book has some interesting information. Page 107, chapter 16, God's Kingdom Exalted, its counterfeit exposed. First paragraph. Now that the responsibility of the world rulers had been so clearly defined by 3 stinging resolutions, a call went out to all people of goodwill to respond to the hope of God's kingdom established in 1914. This call was released in 1925, which, by the way, was a critical year to some of Jehovah's Witnesses. The view had been somewhat general among the anointed that the remaining members of the body of Christ would be changed to heavenly glory that year. But even the early disciples of Jesus expected it in their day, didn't they? Because this is kind of like a conversation going on between some people. That's what this book starts out as. John says, that's true, but they were cautioned against it, just as the brothers were in 1925. And then Lois says, did some leave the organization because of it? John says, yes, there have been siftings all down the line. This was a marked year, too, in that a flood of new spiritual truths came to Jehovah's people. Truths that further tested the devotion of those in line for the kingdom. So, they're basically admitting that there's been siftings all down through the year, but how many left after the 1925 failed prophecy? Okay, I've got the September 1st, 1925. This is in the book. Watchtower, page, looks like 200, 260. You know how scans are of those old watchtowers. Paragraph 10. Because 1925 is about ended, and as we believe, many of the members of the church are still on earth, there is likely to be a tendency on the part of some to become negligent concerning the interests of the kingdom. Oops! I love Atlantis' comments. So then on page 262, September 1st, 1925, Watchtower, paragraph 25. Are they going to accept responsibility that they were wrong? No. It is to be expected that Satan will try to inject into the mind consecrated the thought that 1925 should see an end of the work. It was Satan? So Satan's been writing all this stuff in your literature prior to 1925? Wow. All right, towards the end, about halfway through paragraph 26. It seems that the anointed in such an attitude would not be at all anxious about what may or may not transpire in 1925. They will see that they have everything to lose by becoming negligent and indifferent, and everything to gain by remaining steadfast, diligent, and faithful. So, they knew this was going to be a failed prophecy. Okay, now the July 1st, 1925 Watchtower, page 196, under the subheading Question Meeting. Question, have the ancient worthies returned? Answer, certainly they have not returned. No one has seen them, and it would be foolish to make such an announcement. It was stated in the Millions book, and that's the Millions Now Living Will Never Die, that we might reasonably expect them to return shortly after 1925, but this was merely an expressed opinion. Besides, it is still shortly after 1925. Next question, did the work of the church cease in October 1925, as some claim, or is there something else to do? Answer, the work did not cease in 1925 and is still going on. The Lord is at the head of his work, and it is going on with the same force and momentum that it has heretofore. Some misguided ones in Switzerland conceived the thought that the work had ended in 1925. Gee, I wonder why they thought the work had ended. Maybe because it had been all in the literature about 1925. Of course, such a thought is a foolish one. It is the result of a disturbed mind and not the result of candid consideration of God's Word. Middle of the next paragraph. Let no one be disturbed by the foolish proclamation that has been put forth by one or two misguided brethren to the effect that the ancient worthies were back to 1925. You know, and it's the same thing with 1975 that we saw. You know, they kept putting all this stuff, kind of pushing, you know, 1975 is going to be the end. Same thing. And then it was some misguided, you know, ones that were jumping to this conclusion. Wow. Okay. Now, before I get into the numbers of how many may have left after 1925, I've got the bond volume here. This is the 1972 Watchtower. November 1st, page 643. Be big enough to admit a mistake. Yeah, this is a Watchtower article. And this is to you Jehovah's Witnesses. I guess it doesn't apply to them. Second column, second paragraph. Refusing to admit that one has made a mistake is like claiming infallibility. And we know on their broadcast, oh, you know, the governing body is not infallible. But by not admitting this was an actual mistake, an error, that's what you're claiming. Over on page 644, second full paragraph. In striking contrast to the position taken by the popes is that taken by the Christian Witnesses of Jehovah. They readily admit to having made mistakes as to doctrine and worship. I've never heard them actually say they've made a mistake and admit they've made a mistake. You know, why won't they admit that their child abuse policies have failed? You know, admit that mistake. Now, I want to go to, this would be the September 1st, 1925 Watchtower again. And they've got the memorial reports. 1925, they claim they had 90,434 attending the memorial. 90,434 attending the memorial in 1925. And that is also stated in the September 15th, 1974 Watchtower, page 558, and in the June 1st, 1955 Watchtower, page 336. The hands of the witnesses continued to be kept busy during this crucial year of 1925. For this year, a peak of 90,434 was recorded at the attendance at the Spring Memorial celebration. So that was for 1925 when Armageddon was coming. So let's go back to this book, the 1959 Jehovah's Witness and the Divine Purpose. Page 312 and 313. You can see they have the report there. Now, they don't have the 1926 report in here. It has the 1928. But we can kind of see memorial attendance reported was only 17,380. Oh my goodness. That is a lot missing. And it took them up until 1940 to get back up to 90, well, this was 96,613. So it took a long time to recover after, that 1925 failed prophecy. Wow. Now, also mentioned in this book, under their false prophets, there is a book published in 1925 called The Way to Paradise, published by the International Bible Students, aka Watchtower. Page 226, first paragraph. Now it appears this book was written for children. So the first paragraph, of course, if anyone desires to visit Jerusalem and personally interview the princes, or if the princes should desire to make a personal inspection of some public work, airplanes will soon be so perfected that it will be a matter of but a few hours' ride to any part of the earth to or from Jerusalem. I gotta ask, I thought they thought the oldies, the faithful princes were going to be living in Beth Sarim in San Diego. Now they've got them living in Jerusalem? Like I said, this is not the light getting brighter. This is confusion. This is false prophets. The third paragraph. No doubt many boys and girls who read this book will live to see Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Daniel, and those other faithful men of old come forth in the glory of their better resurrection, perfect in mind and body. How many are alive that were kids back in 1925 when they read this? Disturbing. Page 228. I love how they go into detail of what it's going to be like, in paradise. Second paragraph, about halfway down. Of course, it will take some time to get things in smoothly running order after the great stress between now and 1926. Now, I read, earlier where it said that there was some disturbed minds that came up with this 1925 date. But it seems in this book they're, all gung-ho for the 1925 date, and the princes are going to be living in Jerusalem and be resurrected. It may be 10 years or more before you get your home all fixed up and the gardens bringing forth the luscious fruits and appetizing vegetables in abundance. Even if it takes a while longer, you will be that much better prepared. You will have secured the services of the best decorators you can find. Some of them used to be undertakers, but since there are no more people dying, they have had to seek some new occupation. Their experience as undertakers prepared them to become decorators with very little difficulty. This isn't like getting brighter. This is what Jehovah's Witnesses, aka the Bible students, believed in back in 1925. You have made all preparations for father and mother. The home is all ready. A special room is prepared for them. fitted with everything you can think of that might give pleasure and delight. Here's the clinker. You then call up the princes at Jerusalem, state your case, and make a request that your father and your mother might be awakened. What? You're going to call them up in Jerusalem and make a request that your father and mother be awakened or resurrected? Wow. Yeah, this is actually what the Bible students believed back in 1925. Disturbing. It really is. And, for them to say that, there may have been times, that we may have gotten a little, overzealous, but to actually say that this was Satan writing these articles, and getting them to believe about the 1925? Yeah, it is to be expected that Satan will try to inject into the minds of the consecrated the thought that 1925 should see an end of the work. Or, like in this one, disturbed minds? Someone in Switzerland came up with this? Yeah. Such misguided ones in Switzerland conceived the thought that the work had ended in 1925. Like I said before, gee, I wonder where they got it. So does this make them false prophets? Well, let's see what they say. The May 15th, 1930 Watchtower. There's a subheading, True and False Prophets. A prophet is a person who professes to proclaim a message from Jehovah God. The Bible reveals the fact that there are both true and false prophets. The true prophet is one who always speaks as God's mouthpiece. His message is the truth and is designed to be a blessing to his hearers. He is never boastful and always gives God the credit for the message which he proclaims, and therefore always has the divine approval. A false prophet is a person who claims to be a representative of Jehovah and to speak in his name and to proclaim his message, but is in fact the mouthpiece of Satan. A false prophet speaks that which is contrary to God's will. He sneers at, contradicts, and denies the message of God's true prophets. It matters not whether he proclaims his message with deliberate, willful, and malicious intent to deceive, or whether he is the blinded and deluded dupe of Satan, and hence unwittingly used of him. In either case, he is a false prophet, and hence the agent of Satan. So even if they're just, a dumb dupe and oblivious to the truth, just the fact that they proclaim this message as being from God and claim to represent God makes them a false prophet. And when you see all the evidence in this book, you will see, yeah, they're false prophets. I mean, the date thing and chronology is just amazing. And like I said, I don't know how long it took him to gather this information together, but it's really good. False prophets are usually afflicted with a large bump of self-esteem. This is manifested in both their written and their spoken words, which always exalt themselves, their theories, their methods, and ridicule and contradict the methods and word of Jehovah God. And we see this. I mean, just watch one of the JW broadcasting and you'll see it. See this all the time. Look at a governing body member when they see them at the conventions. Oh my goodness, everybody has to have a picture taken with them. They're treated as gods. And, we've done videos before where they claim to be the voice of God. They're his representatives, his spokesmen. Basically the mediators between God and, the lowly sheeple. So thank you so much for watching, and like I said, go get this book because there is so much wonderful information in here, scans, and we want to thank Atlantis very much for taking the time and effort and sacrifice and everything you've done. And for those of you who are new and don't know this, that most of the literature, Watchtower literature, that the scans are available all over the internet, Atlantis has probably done most of it. So, you know, he has devoted a lot of time and energy and sacrifice in, you know, helping all of this with this. And, you know, of course, we're grateful because he gave us the beast, the Watchtower archives. And we've been able to help so many with these archives. And so if you need anything and you can't find it on the internet, just send me a message, you know, watchtower.expose, click on contact and send me a private message. And I will try to get you whatever literature you need right away. And so thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.